Should be good. Testing, Shalom. Yeah, I'm good. All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
We want to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory
To Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Okakudash.
and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and grace and peace to you elect around the four winds, believing and pushing this truth in all sincerity. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. All right, these are your fellow servants from the GMS Orlando camp. And tonight we want to get into a quick lesson through the Spirit on America, all right, which today is given the pleasures and tomorrow is given the pain. All right, and we have this video here from, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. We have this video from Gold Silver, all right, Mike Maloney. And it goes into basically the bread and circuses, all right, that went on in Rome, all right, that led to his downfall, eventually led to his downfall, all right, which is the same thing that's happening here to America. All right, America is given over to pleasures, and eventually those pleasures are going to lead to its pain. All right, because when you have the people doused and confused and out of their mind like they are today, all right, eventually that is going to kick back into civil unrest, which is exactly what happened in Rome. But let's get to this video.
Thing today.
Most of what Americans know, I fear, is
what movie stars are doing, what sports stars are doing, and what occurred on the last installment of Jerry Springer or some other reality show. And the food stamps are not even food stamps.
most of what Americans know, I fear, is what movie stars are doing, what sports stars are doing, and what occurred on the last installment of Jerry Springer or some other reality show. And the food stamps are not even food stamps anymore. They give you a credit card that you can buy your food with, so that you look like you can actually afford to eat, as opposed to living off the dole. It's very similar.
People's relationship to money in a country like America, the biggest economy in the world, is based entirely on the benefits they get from consuming and consumerism. And right now, you have an era of popularization of drugs that are being used, like Prozac and other drugs that people are taking massive quantities of while they're consuming popular culture for instant gratification. So instant gratification enhanced by drugs with a consumer culture with easy credit. So people are literally high all day long. They're consuming, they're on drugs, they've got cheap sugar, they've got cheap high fructose corn syrup in America, thanks to those massive government subsidies. So they're basically spinning their tits 24/7, 365. Now, as soon as that value proposition changes, and you're not getting high as easily as you did yesterday, the cost of getting blitzed out of your skull on cheap drugs, cheap sugar, and cheap entertainment tips to an actual cost where you've got to actually put in a day's labor, then you're going to see social unrest. Then you're going to see real change, because those people suddenly are going to be facing reality without the benefit of being on drugs. And that's going to be a day when suddenly this economic model of consumption at the expense of humanity comes to a screeching halt.
So the ancient Romans had welfare, bread, and circus. Today, the USA has welfare.
Hey, and as you've seen, all right, through the Spirit, he touched on a lot of points that we're going to get some precepts just to back it up. All right, he touched on a lot of points in that short clip. All right, going into the bread and circus that happened during the time of Rome, where they had free bread and free wine just to distract the people from their currency being devalued, which led to the fall of their economy, which led to the downfall of their empire, which is the same exact thing happening today in America. All right, the American currency, the dollar, is deflating. It's being devalued as we speak. All right, which is going to lead in a disruption in the economy. And once there's a disruption in the economy, there's going to be a civil unrest. And eventually this empire is going to fall and Yahweh Shah is going to return and establish his empire. All right, these are the times that we're living in right now, but let's get a couple of precepts just to back it up.
Now, what that video mentioned, all right, which is important to note, is that it's about bread and circus, all right? That's why the first guy started off by saying that most people know more about celebrities than they actually know about what's going on in the planet, all right? And then Max Kaiser, I believe that's his name, he brought out an important fact that most people are on drugs, all right? When you look up the statistics, all right, it tells you that 60%, almost 70% of the American population, the adult male population, the adult American population are on drugs, on prescription drugs, that is. That doesn't even count the ones who are on street medicines, so to speak, that go to the street pharmacists. These are just the people that are documented as taking prescription drugs. High fructose corn syrup is a drug, contrary to popular belief. And what he's bringing out is a very important point that our Apostle Gabar brought out, is that America is really an insane asylum. And most people are just too heavily medicated for you to know how crazy they actually are. And when all of them come down off of that high, or the high becomes too expensive for them to do it every day, you're going to start to see a lot of things unfold in a terrible way. But that's a product of this society. So real quick, this is 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1. And it reads, "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come."
Hey, if I could look at that word perilous, all right, in the Greek, that word perilous there, as you can see, is kalepos. Kalepos. All right, and it reads dangerous, difficult, furious, fierce, perilous, hard to do, to take, to approach, hard to bear, troublesome, dangerous, harsh, fierce, savage. All right, and these are the times that we're in. All right, we're no longer entering into these times. We in these times. And these times are only going to escalate as we move forward. You got it out.
Strong's definition says, through the idea of reducing the strength. All right, because most people have this inflated idea that they're strong, and it's basically because of the drugs that they own. That's why they don't believe that this system will ever fall, because they still have access to the pleasures of this world. All right, and that goes back to the fiat currency, the world reserve currency situation, where you can basically just give people dollars and receive actual material. All right, whether it's cars, whether it's coffee, all of that is being given to America, if you will, all right, based on fiat currency. When that table flips, all of these people who have enjoyed these pleasures and they have to sober up and come down from that, they're going to realize that they've been duped. All right. And that's why he spoke of civil unrest, because a lot of these people are going to be going through withdrawal. They're not going to know where they're going to get their next meal from. All right. They're going to need somebody to blame. They're going to be angry, and they're going to need a way to vent that anger. And that's why we're coming into perilous times, as the scriptures say.
Right, and that withdrawal is going to be the main symptom of these people here in America, because you got all kind of chemicals in these foods, man. Not only the prescription drugs are fucking people up, but it's the foods that people eat. You know, all this fast food, all these candies, all these sweets. They're gonna go into withdrawal from sweets, man. You know, into withdrawal from these chemicals, these pork parasites that they constantly consume, man. You know, withdrawal is gonna be a huge symptom here in America. That's gonna cause a lot of disaster, man, a lot of peril.
And we live in one of them societies, like 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter says, verse 2, "For men shall be lovers of their own selves." That's social media. Covetous, all right, that's downtown in any major city. All right, that's the Starbucks and the coffee shop where they pull up with the nice cars and the nice valet parking.
Nice Mustang.
All it does is create covetousness. Boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. All right, and that describes the Western society. All right, America is the great city, if you will. All right, but she has allies. All right, Europe is similar to this. All right, when you think about the Western countries, whether it's Europe or America, this is how it's driven. It really embodies 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter, because this is the revived Roman Empire. All right, so when you go into this, again, At verse 2, it says, "For men shall be lovers of their own selves via social media, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy."
Hey, if I may say this, and this bread and circus culture has led to these things, man. You know, here it is. Esau Edom gives you a form of entertainment, such as social media, that allows you to lift up yourself, all right, that allows you to be a lover of your own self, which then allows other people to be covetous of what you have, and you be covetous of what other people have. You know, then you become boasters. You know, hop on. You see it all the time. People hop on social media. This is what I got. Get like me. Y'all niggas can't catch up. You know, catch up. Get where I'm at. You know, then they become proud. Then they become blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. And this is the society that we live in, man. You know, this bread and circus society that has led to all kind of degeneracy, man. All kind of peril within society. You got it, bro.
Verse 3, "Without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good." Now, when you go into this word incontinent, all right, you go into this word incontinent, you get akratos, all right, and it's without self-control, intemperate, all right, and when you go into the word intemperate, all right, real quick, it says having or showing a lack of self-control, immoderate. And that's the society that you have because people have access to pleasures, instant gratification, like Max Kaiser mentioned in this video. All right, people have no self-control because they have access to the pleasures and the lust of the flesh 24/7. And that destroys a society when there's no discipline. And that's why one of the things that describes this perilous time is a society that is incontinent, meaning they lack self-control. See, self-control is built into the law, statutes, and commandments. There's one day out of the year you have to fast. That's self-control. That's a society that pushes self-control through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah. That's the wisdom. All right. There's one day out of the week where you can't work, where you can't buy and sell, where you can't eat. I'll say where you can't buy and sell and cook food. Our customs are built around having self-control. You can't just sleep with any woman you want to. But in this society, it's a society of a lack of self-control.
Got a precept for you.
Yep.
This is Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 4. "Therefore the law is slack, and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked doth compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceedeth."
And we exist in a world of wrong judgment that proceeded, where adultery is glorified, not even just allowed, but it's glorified, where the use of drugs has got to a point where you don't even realize the food is drugs within itself. You have access to candy, all right, 24/7. You have access to more terrible food than good food. That's wrong judgment going forward. And what this guy described in this video is exactly what the Lord told us would happen. First and foremost.
This is Ecclesiastes or Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 1, starting at verse 1. It reads, "A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. An unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. The power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable." All right, right now, an unwise king is ruling. You know, the reason why these people are giving over the bread and circus and giving over the Father is because the leader of the people is giving over the Father. All right, these people don't promote the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shema Shah. You know, they promote your lust. They promote the lust of the flesh. Do as thou wilt. You know, and as that culture is being promoted, we see how society is being driven deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, man, to what you have now and to what we're going to get in the future, which is all hell, all chaos breaking loose.
And that's why it's known as the revived Roman Empire, because the video we're watching, all right, what this lesson is based off of is showing a comparison of, all right, the American society to ancient Rome. All right, and what you see is a similar comparison. The same folly that was going on during the time of Rome, all right, is going on now. The same debauchery where adultery was allowed and permissible, where all lust of the flesh were permissible. All right, where there was a lack of self-control, a society built upon a lack of self-control. When you go into Strong's definition, it says powerless, an example without self-control. Because in this society, your lust of your flesh becomes the master and your brain becomes the slave. And that's why we live in a society where most of these people are literally mindless zombies.
Right. And no one considers that although it's pleasure for today, tomorrow is going to be pain.
Right.
Because once that pleasure wears off, reality is going to set in. And pretty soon, reality is going to set in for the majority of the American people. And reality is that America is crumbling. The dollar is devaluing. All right, the economy is failing. Okay, the jobs are unstable. Everything here is unstable, and that's reality. But a lot of people aren't privy to that reality because they've been given over to these pleasures. You're able to go every day, go to the ABC, get you some wine, get you some drink your pleasures away, get you some a copy of Dub, smoke your pleasures away, and everything be sweet to you. You're able to turn on the game, watch football, watch NFL. Drown yourself in pleasures for the moment. But when these pleasures are taken away, that's when the pain is going to set in. The reality is going to set in. And that's the time we're coming into, man. Reality is going to set in because you can't live outside of prophecy. And the Lord foretold of this empire crumbling, man. You can't live outside of that. You can't live outside of that reality, man. Eventually, it's going to come full circle. Eventually, the words of the Lord are going to be played out.
I got a precept. This is 1 Timothy 5:6. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth.
Right.
All right. So when you deal with that harlot, that whore that sitteth upon many waters, right now she's living in pleasure. All right. When you go into Revelation, that whore that sitteth upon many waters is America. That's that great city. All right. Now, right now she's living in pleasure, but she's dead while she living. All right. That's why we're in a situation now where the Fed is going to more than likely increase the interest rates. All right. Because they're at a point now where they've ran out of lifelines. This is why the digital currency, if you will, is coming into play. Because they're going to use that, all right, as a way to restart the system. All right, because now we're in a time where all of these pleasures that she's lived in, she has to now pay for it. All right, and the people of this society are not prepared to pay for the pleasures they've lived in. Right. I got Isaiah 47.
Yeah, I was going to read that right now.
Come.
This is Isaiah chapter 47. I'm going to start at verse 7.
You can start at 1.
All right, let me hit verse 1. It reads, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, and sit on the ground." And what is the virgin daughter of Babylon? All right, the virgin daughter of Babylon is speaking about America. All right, because it hasn't been touched. It's a virgin. America hasn't been polluted, or penetrated, so to speak. It says, "Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." All right, and just like the brother was going into earlier, all right, America is getting ready to, all these nations are getting ready to flip on America because they're going to realize that they've been getting duped. All right, America's been giving them these FRNs and they've been giving them, resources for basically nothing.
Right. And that's a tactic. All right, when you go into the nitty gritty, they basically exported their debt because the dollar is losing value continually, but the system is set up to where they can still push them dollars out and still get stuff for it. So in essence, they're pushing out debt and getting stuff for it. That's creating resentment amongst these other nations, even those who are allied with America. All right, and that's why while she's living in pleasure, all right, while she's enjoying TVs and big gulps at the 7-Eleven, all right, and Twizzlers at the movie theater, all right, the cold coffees, the lattes, the frappes, the oatmeal frappes at Starbucks, it's a cost coming behind that. All right, real quick, at Isaiah 47:1, when you go down to the CSB version, it says, "Go down and sit in the dust, virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground without a throne, daughter Chaldea, for you will no longer be called pampered and spoiled." Because that's what this society is. When you look at the American citizens, they're very spoiled, very proud and spoiled people, man. Right? Because they're used to living like this. You got it.
If I may say, he mentioned in the video that America is basically a consumer nation.
Right.
American thrives because it's a consumer nation. It consumes. All these people do is consume. You know, and so like the brother is saying, eventually it's gonna crumble, man. You know, I got this one precept for you. It's Obadiah 1 and verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in it. All right, and those who were once confederate with Esau, Edom, all right, that gave their power over to this beast, are going to flip on them, man. They're confederate against them because now they're going to realize how much they've been getting duped, how much they've been getting jipped out of the deal, man. That's why you have countries like Russia and China and Saudi Arabia going behind the scenes on America and establishing relationships, man. Because all these other nations are starting to see, damn, it ain't all what America telling us it was, man. Damn, they've been duping us this whole time. Now we got to get it by ourselves. Now we're trying to establish our own nation. Fuck trying to help them. Let's get it by ourselves, man.
Got it. So going into this real quick, this is Revelation chapter 18. And I will start at I'm going to jump down to verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. All right, because literally we're going to be beamed up, all right, in the midst of her receiving that nail in the coffin, which is those missiles, all right, and the lasers and the fire from the chariots, all right, the elect are going to be beamed up, all right. So when you deal with Micah chapter 2 and verse 10, that's spiritually coming out of her. But when you deal with Revelation 18 and 4, that's when we're literally coming out of her, all right. Now here's the point. Verse 5, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. This is what the American people do. They live deliciously at the expense of everybody else. All right. And really that's Esau. That's what Esau wanted to do. That was his blessing, that he would have the fatness of the earth, but he would have to maintain it with the sword. Mm-hmm. And this is how you end up with this society of overweight people who are high on sugar, all right, or prescription medications, because she's been able to live deliciously, all right, off the backs of the rest of the world. And now the kings of the other nations are beginning to rise up and fight with her in battle, all right? Continuing, it says, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. That is the mentality of the average citizen of Babylon the Great. They're not going to see any sorrow. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. They're just going to wait this out. Every weekend when we go downtown on Saturday, you see a huge population of people who don't believe that they're in trouble, who think like Esau. They're not in trouble as other men. You got it, Doc.
Fine, I got a quick precept for you. This is Isaiah chapter 33, and I'm going to start at verse 1. It reads, woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled.
Because that's the mentality that the U.S. has now. They want to just hold their riches in and want everybody to just stay where they at. Don't nobody move. Don't nobody try to come up above us. Everybody just stay still. That's not how the game works. Once you live off pleasure and you dealt treacherously to get there, now the get back starts. See, then nobody anticipates the get back. That's why the Lord say, oh, that they were wise, that they would consider their latter end. Our people didn't consider their latter end. Likewise, Esau didn't. And that's why he's about to be set up for the greatest letdown on the planet.
Oh, yeah. It says, thou shalt cease to spoil, then shalt thou be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. That was it on that one.
Hey, Damwathi got a beautiful precept up there. Jeremiah 51:7. I'll read it. It says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad.
And now these nations are mad because they drunk on the wine of America. They followed after their philosophies. They adhere to their policies. They adhere to their rulers, their dominion. All right, but now they're mad because now they're starting to sober up. They're starting to sober up and see clearly what's been going on, man. And what's been going on is some real shiesty business. America has been dealing treacherously with these other nations, and they haven't been dealing treacherously with them. Like it said in Obadiah, they were once confederate with each other. They were confederate to take us down at one point, like it says in Psalm the 83rd chapter. But now that confederacy has turned into wrongdealing. It's turned to an enemy type deal, so to speak, man. But
you got another one, Obadiah 1 and 3. I'll read it. It says, "The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high." And this American society has been exalted. It's high, all right? And it's been exalted, but the pride of these people, all right, have deceived them because they don't believe that they'll ever fall. All right, when we were watching this documentary, we were watching these people wear fake Roman helmets, fake swords, and basically making mockery of what was a fearful empire that existed at that time. Them Romans didn't think that they was ever going to fall. They thought they was going to have a Colosseum forever. They thought they was going to have bread and circus forever. And it came down and it fell. The same thing is about to happen to the revived version of Rome. You got it out. Oh, Salaki, I'll finish it. It says, "Whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the grave?"
Right, and that was Rome's same exact thought process. Who's going to bring us down? We have the vastest military in the world. We got over 800 military bases. I mean, not 800. We got military bases in almost damn near every country. In the foreseeable world. Who can take us down? We got the strongest military. All right, we got the strongest economy. Can't nothing happen to us. And guess what was going on behind the scenes? Their slow demise, their gradual demise from the inside out. And that's exactly what's happening here in America. America is crumbling from the inside out and is facing outside threats as well. Because these other nations ain't gonna back down. Not this time. They want their chance. They want their shot at rulership.
Right. Now, you mentioned it, so I'm gonna get this real quick. It says United States military bases worldwide. There are roughly 750 U.S. foreign military bases. They are spread across 80 nations.
And just like Rome spread itself thin during this downfall, America is spreading itself thin nowadays, man.
Matter of fact, let's watch that clip one more time.
Yep, I got it queued up.
Most of what Americans know, I fear, is what movie stars are doing, what sports stars are doing, and what occurred on the last installment of Jerry Springer or some other reality show. And the food stamps are not even...
on the planet are doing exactly the same thing today.
All right, yes.
Most of what Americans know, I fear, is what movie stars are doing, what sports stars are doing, and what occurred on the last installment of Jerry Springer or some other reality show. And the food stamps are not even food stamps anymore. They give you a credit card that you can buy your food with so that you look like you can actually afford to eat as opposed to living off the dole. It's very similar.
People's relationship to money in a country like America, the biggest economy in the world, is based entirely on the benefits they get from consuming and consumerism. And right now, you have an era of popularization of drugs that are being used, like Prozac and other drugs that people are taking massive quantities of while they're consuming popular culture for instant gratification. So instant gratification enhanced by drugs with a consumer culture with easy credit. So people are literally high all day long. They're consuming, they're on drugs, they've got cheap sugar, they've got cheap high fructose corn syrup in America thanks to those massive government subsidies. So they're basically spinning their tits 24/7, 365. Now, as soon as that value proposition changes and you're not getting high as easily as you did yesterday, the cost of getting blitzed out of your skull on cheap drugs, cheap sugar, and cheap entertainment tips to an actual cost where you've got to actually put in a day's labor, then you're going to see social unrest. Then you're going to see real change, because those people suddenly are going to be facing reality without the benefit of being on drugs. And that's going to be a day when suddenly this economic model of consumption at the expense of humanity comes to a screeching halt.
So the ancient Romans had welfare, bread, and circus. Today, the USA has welfare and mass distraction.
Now, another part of that he mentioned was civil unrest. All right. And that is a product of when these people come down off of their highs. All right. And when they come down and they realize that they don't have the same opportunities that they had to live in pleasure like they had before. When the veil is removed, so to speak, from these people, and they realize, all right, what's actually happened, it's going to result in civil unrest. All right. So I'm going to grab. You know what? Let's grab this one first since we're here. Isaiah 19.
Yep, this Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 2. It reads, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom."
So you got to realize right now, you have a lot of road rage incidents that are coming up and increasing. People are still high right now. People still have access to food, yet you have an increase in violence because the world around them is changing and a lot of people don't know what to make of it. And they're taking their frustrations out on each other. This is how people are operating right now before they sober up. So when they actually have to sober up and go through withdrawal, those things are going to increase.
Mm-hmm. It says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards."
And some of those wizards are the politicians. They're going to look for answers, or they're going to go to the church and ask pastor for answers, and they're not going to have any. And that's going to result in civil unrest.
Right. Why? Because the Lord destroyed all the counsel from those men. You know, the Lord destroyed the counsel from these economists. He destroyed the counsel from these priests, so-called priests. All right, everyone that these people look to other than Yahweh Shem Yahushai, the Lord has destroyed their counsel, man. And the spirit of Egypt is failing in the midst thereof, man. All right, everything here is failing, you know. And right now, like the brother said, even in times of prosperity, things are failing. You know, so-called prosperity, things are failing. All right, crime is going up. The morale of the people is dropping. All right, the mental capacity of the people is failing.
Hey, Edomites are getting snatched off the streets in LA. Jake just pulling up on Edomites and just taking their watch right off their arm, man. These Moabites just got money. Over there on the West Coast, they just pulling up. They just riding around and looking for somebody with a nice watch on and just hopping out the whip and taking it. This is why people are high. Understand that. They still got Zaza.
Right. Hey, it's like
they still got Perks. They still got Zans. They still got Lean. All right, these Edomites, these Moabites, they can still go to CVS and Walgreens. What happens when the food supply is cut short?
Hey, you had a whole ordeal going on over there in California where you had people breaking into cars so much that people left their doors open, man. People left their car door open just to show them, man, I ain't got nothing in here. Just don't break my car window, man. And that's why people are sober, like the brother said. So how much more when these people can't feed themselves, and not only themselves, but their families? You know, it's gonna get crazy out here, man. But it says again, verse 3, "And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsels thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits and wizards." Let me see. I'll check the stream real quick.
Real quick. This is Isaiah 19 and 14. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. In that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh over it. Because now it's time to pay the piper. All right, now these people are about to have to pay for what they've done on the planet. All right, especially the great city that's dwelt without care. And when that high fructose corn syrup and all of these pleasures are taken away, they're going to be left to their own thoughts. All right, and most people's thoughts are nothing but wickedness. And it's time to pay the piper.
Right? Hey, the average mindset of an American is a ghetto, man. They live in a ghetto inside their minds, and that ghetto is gonna manifest into reality when all these subsidies are cut off, man. This is I want to hit that
Jeremiah 49.
Yeah,
starting at 7.
Yep. This is Jeremiah chapter 49, and we're gonna start off at verse 7. It reads, "Concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord of hosts: Is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished?" And their wisdom is vanished, man. Because here it is, these devils are following the same blueprint, and they acknowledge that they're following the same blueprint as ancient Rome. Here it is, you saw that. You saw, what was his name, Max? Saying that this is the same thing that was going on back in Rome. But all these devils can do is sit back and watch, because the damage is done at this point. They can't revise what they've done. They dug themselves too deep. It says, "Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of the Dan, for I will bring calamity of Esau upon them, the time that I will visit it. If grape gatherers come to thee, will they not leave some gleaning grapes? If thieves by night, they will destroy till they have enough. But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not."
Now, real quick, going back to Isaiah 47, I'll continue at 2. "Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man."
And this shame is starting to be seen now. All right, the shame of their counsel, okay, the shame of their policies is all starting to be seen. How they've dealt with the people, how they've dealt with the inhabitants of their city, how they've dealt with the other nations. All right, all their shame is starting to be seen, man. All right, and this is just one of them, the bread and circus culture that they push. All right, the drug culture. All right, the ecstasy culture. All right, this is a shame unto Edom, man. And now it's starting to backfire on them, because all these people that they've doped up and put on these different drugs, once they're cut off, they're gonna come and fight against this kingdom. They're gonna tear this kingdom down, man.
So this is how we understand that the daughter of Babylon, that's discussed in Isaiah 47, is talking about the rulership of Esau. All right, so when you go into Isaiah 47:1, it says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." And when you head to Psalms 137, all right, and you jump down to the 7th verse, it says, "Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom, in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof." Verse 8, "O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones."
And that's another way that we can see how Edom is connected with Babylon. All right, Babylon the Great. All right, that new Babylon. Not speaking about the one that was in Iraq. All right, but this new Babylon, which is America. All right, it's tied to the Edomites and their rulership. All right, letting you know that Esau was going to be in rulership in the latter days, and through his rulership will come chaos. All right, and at the latter end of his rulership, Yahushua will return and establish his dominion.
That's all I got on that one.
All right. Going back into Jeremiah 49, and we're going to jump down to verse 30, 31. It says, "Arise, arise, get you up unto the wealthy nation that dwelleth without care, saith the Lord, which have neither gates nor bars, which dwell alone. And their camels shall be a booty, and the multitude of their cattle a spoil. And I will scatter into all winds them that are in the utmost corners, and I will bring their calamity from all sides thereof, saith the Lord."
That's it. Verse 31. So verse 31, all right, you can apply that to today as well. All right, because again, this is a wealthy nation that dwelleth without care. All right, and you can see it in the mentality of these people. We're in the middle of a so-called plan, dim, ick, and then you got people who still talking about the finals or the next America's Got Talent or the next Housewives.
Next album.
All right, just like this guy brought out. More people are more, and this video came out in 2018. More people are concerned with the lives of celebrities than their reality. And that tells you that we live in a population that the majority of people are high. They're not sober because they don't even question the reality that they live in. They have no clue. And this is that city that dwelleth without care, that wealthy nation that's dwelling without care in these latter days, man.
Right, because it was likened unto that virgin daughter of Babylon. Why was it called a virgin daughter? It's because America hasn't been touched yet. It hasn't been penetrated. No other nation has came and invaded America. America hasn't seen true turmoil. It hasn't seen true famine. It hasn't seen true pestilence, other than what's been going on recently. All right, so this place is fairly new when it comes to judgment. This place hasn't seen true calamity, like it's going to see. But I had that one in Second Esdras touch on that point about sedition. This is Second Esdras chapter 15. And we'll start at verse 14. It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, with swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another." All right, when you go into that word sedition, it means a concerted attempt to overthrow civil authority. All right, and pretty soon people are going to come together to overthrow that civil authority. All right, it's going to go on to say, "They shall not regard the kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power." And pretty soon these people aren't going to be listening to the governor, the mayor, the president. All right, they're going to get it how they live. All right, they're going by any means possible. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." It says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." All right, and these are the times that we enter into, man. All right, there's a great famine that's being brewed up in the midst of America that people aren't able to see because they're consuming these bread and circuses. All right, but as soon as this famine hits on that large scale, all right, it's going to be great tribulation out here. People are going to be spoiling their neighbors' houses for the lack of bread. All right, those true spirits are going to show. The true spirits of these Americans are going to show how vile and demonic these people truly are. Because that's who these Americans are, demons, man. But they hid under this veil right now because they doped up and they drugged up. But when the Lord takes all that away, when all these subsidies, all these luxuries are taken away from these American people, they're gonna show their true colors, man. And their true colors ain't too bright. Their true colors are very demonic. And that's the time that we're coming into, man.
So I'll end it with this. This is 2 Peter chapter 3. And I'll start at verse. Let's start at verse 10. "But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up." So this is describing the day of the Lord coming in as a thief in the night. All right. In verse 11, it says, "Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be and all holy conversation and godliness.
Hey, if I could say this, and why does it say that the day of the Lord will come in as a thief in the night? Because a lot of people aren't watching for the day of the Lord. A lot of people aren't watching for the prophecies that the Lord left behind to shew his second return. Only but that remnant that the Lord has reserved, Lord willing, we're that number, are watching, are measuring the times diligently. But for the majority of the people, they're giving over to pleasures, which is eventually going to lead to their pain. All right, because the day of the Lord is going to be a day of great darkness, man. A day of great calamity, destruction, fire, judgment. That's the day of the Lord. And it's going to come as a thief to the majority of the people on the earth because they aren't watching. They aren't measuring the time diligently like the scriptures tell us to do. You got it, bro.
And so with that, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Ruach Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, while the elders of Yasha Allah, and a sincere salutation to all you Akim, who are preaching this word and believing this word, and to the Akwaf who are believing this word in all truth and in sincerity. Shalom.
Shalom.